So you've been thinking about moving to Franklin, Tennessee, but you're not sure, is Franklin even a good place to live? Well, we're going to take a look at that today. We're going to look at the pros, the cons. We're going to look at the back and forth. We're going to look at everything there is to know about Franklin, and we're not going to hold anything back. And at the end, you're not going to want to miss this. I'm going to show you one of the biggest perks to being in Franklin, Tennessee, and we're going to get started right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you're wanting to know everything there is to know about Nashville and the surrounding areas, feel free to click the subscribe button, click the bell for notification, and you'll get notified every time we upload a new video. I'm Michael, and Joshua, Caleb, James, David, the team, we all get calls from people like you from all over the country every single day. And they're wanting to know what it is about Nashville and why they want to move to Nashville. So whether you're moving in one day, 1 month, or 1 year, feel free to give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, and we'll gladly help you make your move to the Nashville area. Now, like I was talking about, we're trying to figure out the pros and cons and everything about Franklin, but I want to answer one question first, which is Franklin even a good place to live? So Franklin is a place that's kind of unique to Tennessee. It's 20 miles south of major city, Nashville, Tennessee, and has a population of 85,000 or so. I think the last census was right around 80,000 from 2020, but it's a continually growing community. Is it a good place to live? It's certainly got a booming economy, but still has that small town feel. It has a Main Street USA kind of feel to it. So is Franklin a good place? Absolutely. Schools are great. Everything in the area, the county, it's a booming economy and a great place that you may want to consider living. Now, we're going to take a look at the pros and the cons. I'll gladly tell you all the pros and say, yeah, move here. This is a great place. But I think you also want to know, what's the downside to moving to Franklin? So we're going to take a look at some of those as well. All right, so first on the list, it's a pro, and it's definitely something that is unique to the South. The South is full of hospitality, and Franklin is no exception to that. They're welcoming residents. Definitely the community, the restaurants, the boutique shops, just about anywhere you go, you're going to find that this place is wonderfully welcoming. Now, what does that also mean? There's a lot of people moving here, so maybe you're thinking, well, if a lot of people are moving here from other parts of the country, and we won't name any of them, like, New York or anywhere in the North where people are not quite as friendly, that doesn't matter. It's the South, and there's something about the South that just kind of seeps into people to where they want to be welcoming as well. This is nothing new to Southern hospitality. Number two, I already mentioned this just earlier, but a small town feel. This is a pro. Definitely that small town feel. If that's something you're looking for, where you can feel like you live in a small community, but you're still close enough to all the benefits and all the things that are in a large city, those aren't too far away. And there's definitely plenty of things to do. Another pro that you want to take a look at is this is such a family-friendly area. Everything from parks and recreation type of things to just things for kids to do. In addition to things for kids to do, there's also like baseball, like every kind of sport for youth sports. They're all available here as well. This is a highly, highly sought after area for youth sports in the Tennessee area as well. Another thing that is really unique to the Franklin area that you can't find in too many places across the country is, while you have a big city feel in one respect because you're close enough to Nashville, you also have natural scenery, something that big cities don't offer. The natural scenery here in Franklin and right around Franklin sits in the foothills of Tennessee, which gives this rolling hills feel to it. But it's just a beautiful area. Mountainous, but not too mountainous. But scenery from lakes, and there's rivers running through here. This is just a lush area here in the Franklin market. The other thing is Four Seasons. Now, this is both a pro and a con. Four Seasons is great because we have winter, but it's not too harsh. It's more of a mildish type winter. We have a natural spring, a really good spring where things are cool. It's 60s and 70s. It's beautiful for several months. We do have the relapses back into winter, which is kind of hard when you think spring's coming, but no, it's not. That happens a lot as well. Summer's a little bit on the rough side because we are definitely in an area. This is more of a con, I think. We're definitely in an area in the south where it is so incredibly humid. It seems like it's 100 degrees every day, and it may not be that hot, but the humidity is insane. So I would say that more falls in the neutral. Like it's hot, so you want it to be summer and hot and have good warm days so you can swim and do things that you want to do. But you don't want it so hot that when you're just standing outside, you're dripping in sweat, even without even moving around. So that's a little bit tough. It's kind of a pro and a con. And then obviously there's a fall, and that's where the leaves are falling. It's a beautiful area around here. When the leaves are falling, you see all the fall colors, which is awesome. And it's cooler again. It's 60s, 70s, which is a great time during the year. Be able to drive around, go outside, go on hikes, do all the things that you want to do. The another thing that is a super, I actually have some notes on this one because there are so many fun things to do. I wanted to kind of read a few of them. There's a historic downtown area. Obviously, that may not appeal to kids necessarily as far as fun, but there's a downtown area of Franklin that really thrives as far as everything from nightlife, if you're in the adult scene, or also just museums. There's movie theater. There's a theater for like comedy shows and concerts, and there's a lot of great festivals throughout the year. There's a place called Harlansdale Farm. That's the home of a lot of different festivals throughout the year that you can be a part of. Everything from music festivals to downtown parades. I don't know. There's all kinds of things to do in the Franklin area as it relates to festivals and stuff like that. There's another place just outside of Franklin called Leaper's Fork. It's a cute little town if you want to go to. They have some restaurants and it's kind of a unique feel to it. It's something you want to check out. Another thing that we have is a thing called the Factory. It seems odd, but it's an old furniture factory that's been converted into a mall, and it has a couple of venues there where you could do wedding receptions and stuff like that in one part. There's a whole theater for plays and musicals and things like that happen at the Factory as well. There's also a concert venue, like a small, very quaint concert venue there. I'll show you some of the pictures of that, and I have another video that we kind of describe that as well. So there's also the First Bank Amphitheater in Franklin, which is just off the highway. That is another great place. I think this is the beginning of July. I think at the end of July, Willie Nelson's going to be there doing a concert. He's kind of a little bit on the older side, but he's still out there doing concerts. There's concerts there just about every weekend throughout the summer. So as you can see, there's plenty of fun things to do around the area. And I know I already mentioned this one too. This is another pro. This is a healthy and vibrant economy. And there's a lot of jobs, great job market here as well. People are moving into the Tennessee area just to be in Franklin and surrounding Franklin because of the job market and the economy. So we're going to take a look at a couple of cons here. And one of the cons is the high cost of living. The housing market here, even though markets shift and go back and forth different ways, the housing market here is pretty expensive. The houses where the median is somewhere around $480,000 as far as a median house price. Most of the prices and most of the houses in this market hover somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million in the Franklin area because it's such a highly sought after area. Another thing that you can take a look at is homeowners associations are everywhere. I know there's a lot of people that really don't like homeowners associations because they don't want all the thumb down on, hey, all my neighbors, they can tell me what I can and can't do, what color I can paint my house, and things like that. While there are some pros to having a homeowners association so that you can keep the values high and keep the neighborhoods nice, there are some negatives to it. And one of the negatives here, as far as a homeowners association, is the cost of the homeowners association. The dues are astronomical in the Franklin area. So just keep that in mind as you're taking a look and looking around the area. Homeowners associations are a thing here, and they are everywhere. You want to keep that in mind. Another thing that's a con, we're very limited on our public transportation. There's not a formal public transportation like bus stops, and there's no train system or anything like that. There is a couple of around town type of buses and tour buses and things like that, but it's really not a big town that has a whole public transportation system laid out for you. Another thing that you got to keep in mind, Franklin has grown so much over the past 10 years that the congestion is really, really a lot. They've they've been working on the infrastructure and widening roads and building new ways around Franklin and stuff like that, but it's still highly congested, and it's a place where everybody wants to live. So it keeps traffic backed up a good bit. And when school is in, I can tell you the school system has the buses out. It is hard to get around town during school times. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of congestion because a lot of people are moving here. I already mentioned this. I mentioned the heat and the humidity. It is definitely something you want to keep in mind. It is really warm in the summers. That can be considered a con for sure. And then this is something that's unique to our area. It's called the Dixie Pathway, or the Dixie line, if you want to call it that. Right between Kentucky and Tennessee and going west, there is a line of tornadoes, like a tornado alley. Now, tornadoes are a little bit different than, say, if you're in Texas or Florida where you're on the coast and you're dealing with hurricanes. Instead, you're dealing with tornadoes that can just pop up out of nowhere. And we've had our share of tornadoes. There's not a ton of tornadoes that happen on a weekly basis or anything like that. But over the course of 10 years, we've had a few tornadoes that have swiped through the Nashville market for sure. It's just something to keep in mind. It's not necessarily the thing that drives you away from moving to Franklin. Just wanted you to be aware. For me, I don't really struggle with this, but there are a lot of people that have allergies and allergy sufferers. This could be a pretty tough market because any given day, starting in about maybe mid-April all the way through May, you can walk outside and your car will be covered in yellow stuff. The yellow stuff is called pollen. It is everywhere, and it can really wreak havoc on your allergies if you're not careful. So there's a list of pros and cons. I have one more thing that I want to share that I feel like is probably the biggest pro that you could possibly imagine, and that is the taxes in not just property taxes. Property taxes I can't do anything about, but the income tax situation in Tennessee is very unique. There's not very many states across the country that have this. There is zero income tax in Tennessee for your personal income. So that's almost like getting anywhere from 5 to say 7% raise in your income just by moving to Tennessee, because there's no income tax from the state of Tennessee. Doesn't mean you can't pay, you don't have to pay your federal taxes. You still have to pay federal taxes, but you won't have the Tennessee income tax because we're an income tax free state. Here's my list. Hope you enjoyed the list. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to put them in the comments below, or you can send us a text, shoot us an email, give us a call. We'll answer any questions you may have about the Nashville market. Hope to see you next video.